Welcome to the very first episode of the Notes2Embolden Podcast. I'm Nova, your guide to sparking growth, finding strength, and embracing the climb. And joining me is my co-host, Dax, who's here to, challenge everything I say.
That's right. While Nova's lighting sparks, I'm here to make sure no one burns down the whole forest in the process. We're talking about balance, folks. Realistic expectations with a side of hard truth.
Or, as I like to call it, Dax being Dax. Together, we'll explore what it takes to move forward, even when life feels impossible. Today, we're diving into setbacks, how they can shape us, and more importantly, how to stay motivated when it feels like the odds are stacked against you.
And we've got our first caller, Jordan, who's been feeling the weight of rejection. Let's bring him on.
Hi, Nova and Dax. I've been working so hard. Late nights, weekends, trying to make this dream of mine a reality. And I just got another rejection. It's the third one this month. Honestly, I don't even know if I'm cut out for this anymore.
Jordan, thank you for calling. Rejection is tough. It can make you question everything. But let me say this. Theodore Roosevelt once said, "It is not the critic who counts. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena." Jordan, you're in the arena. That alone speaks to your courage.
Okay, but let's not give Jordan a participation trophy just yet. You've been putting in the work, Jordan, and it's clearly not paying off the way you hoped. How do you know this rejection isn't a sign to pivot? Maybe this dream of yours needs a serious reality check.
That's what I'm wondering. Maybe I'm just not good enough. Maybe I should give up.
Dax, you're not wrong. Sometimes rejection does make us rethink the path we're on. But Jordan, before you make that decision, let me tell you a story. It might help put things in perspective. There once was a young climber who dreamed of standing on the peak of Mount Everest, but they knew they couldn't tackle it right away, so they started with the tallest mountain in their state. On their first climb, they didn't even make it halfway. The rocks were steep, the weather was harsh, and they slipped and fell more times than they could count. Sitting on the edge of the trail, feeling defeated, they thought about quitting. Sound familiar?
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel right now.
Okay, but what if they never made it to the top? Not everyone gets to cross the finish line, Nova. What then?
That's the thing. They didn't stop. They climbed again and again. Each time they learned something new. The right tools, better pacing, where to rest. And one day, they reached the summit of that mountain. But when they got there, they realized something surprising. The view wasn't the true reward. The climb itself, the lessons, the resilience, the strength they built along the way was what made them strong.
I get it, Nova. The climb is part of the process, blah blah. But let's not pretend it's all rainbows and life lessons. Sometimes you're climbing the wrong mountain. Jordan, here's what I want you to think about. Is this rejection just a bump in the road, or is it a sign to take a different path? Sometimes we keep pushing because we're too scared to admit we might need to pivot.
And sometimes we pivot too soon because we're afraid to push through the discomfort of growth. Jordan, only you can decide which mountain you're climbing, but don't let fear be the reason you stop climbing altogether.
So, how do I know the difference? How do I know if it's time to keep climbing or change course?
Start by looking at the bigger picture. What's your ultimate goal? Is this rejection getting you closer, or is it telling you something you've been ignoring?
And don't forget to check in with yourself. What's the lesson here? Every step, every stumble teaches you something. Use that to guide your next move.
I think I see what you're saying. This rejection doesn't have to be the end. It's just part of the process.
Setbacks may test us, but they also shape us. They're not the end of the story. They're part of the climb. And remember, every small step forward brings you closer to your strength.
And sometimes they remind us to check the map. Are you climbing the right mountain? If not, it's never too late to find the one worth your time.
Thank you for listening to our first episode of the Notes2Embolden podcast. Keep climbing and keep your spark alive. And we want to hear from you. Share in the comments something you do or consider when overcoming setbacks and finding strength. Let's grow together.